Good evening and welcome to Livid Comics Lair. Tonight's guest is a film creator and director. He has a new film out, a horror Halloween film called Bad Candy. He's completed and directed the documentary called Until It Hurts about some SEALs that we lost unfortunately after 9/11. And he's done some work with the band like Seven Dust, and actually Corey Taylor's in the new movie too, Bad Candy. So that's pretty exciting. So please welcome our friend, Mr. Scott B. Hansen.
Hey, how's it going?
Good evening.
I love that intro. I'm like ready to chase somebody.
yeah.
I
Joe
threw
put
that together
together.
with my weak editing skills, but I threw
I'm
it
like
together.
about to grab a knife and chase somebody down a tunnel.
That's what the show's all about. You come to the right
There you
place.
This is true.
Awesome.
This is true.
Yep. So
Yeah.
right off the bat, like Scott, you and I actually have something in common, kind of. I was actually supposed to go to Savannah College of Art and Design for Sequential, just like you did. So when John was booking this show, I was like, that's awesome. But I was, like most 20-year-olds chasing money at that point. I started a business selling auto parts online and never went there. So and it kind of took a break from art because I was doing that. So that's very cool. So you actually did go for the sequential degree too, right? It wasn't just
that was it turned into my minor, but I got I would say 60% scholarship based on comic book art that I submitted.
Nice.
And SCAD is really expensive, as you might know. But
oh yes.
so I mean, getting like $100,000 towards your school is pretty amazing. And I've been a huge comic book fan forever, and I think I have too many, probably like 12, 13,000.
Oh shit! Really? No kidding.
Something like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
What are some titles that you follow?
I mean, I actually love if you Dale Keown Pitt.
Yes.
I love the Pitt series. I love all the Prophet stuff.
Yeah.
I've been staying the old school, I guess, but I love all the anything Rob Liefeld. Jim Lee is amazing. I love all the older X-Men. I've been reading the Vader comics recently. They're pretty fun.
Oh, I want to check those out. Yeah,
they're pretty good actually, and just kind of opens up like a lot of seeing what they're doing with the movie stuff now, and they're bringing back Hayden. I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're going to go in that direction and give him like a whole series or something, and just let him fucking go crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of what we've been waiting for forever since that Rogue One ending, where he just gets everybody and just throws it. I'm like, we've been waiting for this for since I've been alive. Like, I'm waiting for him to fucking throw people, and he finally did it. And it was just such a tease. But I'm a huge. I have a bunch of Avengers, old Punisher, old Hulk. Silver Surfer. I have the entire Silver Surfer.
Oh wow.
Lord Thanos. The Infinity Gauntlet, the newer one too. Huge.
I love it.
Nerd.
Yeah.
You go back into like the Fantastic Four stuff with like first Galactus and all those guys.
Yes. Yeah. I hope to see Galactus soon. I'm sure we will in the movies.
Oh yeah, they got it.
They kind of showed him right in the other X-Men movies a little bit, which is kind of like the clouds like eating the planet.
Yeah, it was like a cloud thing or something. Yeah.
So I guess it'd be kind of hard to scale and budget and production to kind of show him doing that, but maybe I don't know. But yeah.
Hey man, it's
I'd like to see him like full helmeted and the whole gear and all that stuff.
Yeah, I want to see him fight some Celestials and like take on somebody big. I don't know. That's
good old X-Men I have hanging out here. It's a good old one.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
That's old school. Wow.
Yeah, I've been chasing the pre-uncanny stuff as another one. So I was trying to put together the whole pre-uncanny set. I got the first Sentinels was my big score last one too. So
Oh
pretty
yeah.
cool. So it's hanging on the wall up here. I take it down. But
Man,
yeah, that's a good one.
I'm jealous. Yeah, I was like, I read comics so much as a kid, and then I was just out for years because I just switched over to like horror novels. So I was obviously hardcore into Stephen King and a lot of the other horror authors, and then when we started our comic book company, that's when I got back in. So like, I'm reading a lot more of the horror comics, like the DC Black Label stuff. I don't know if you've checked out any like the Joe Hill horror comics, but
Dark
and then
Horse,
actually
anything Dark Horse is amazing too.
This right, I don't know if you've read this Basket Full of Heads by Joe Hill. It's freaking. It's this series is so good, and that's
Stephen King's son, right?
Yeah. So they actually are doing a follow-up to this series. We just had the guy on last week that's writing the follow-up series called Refrigerator Full of Heads. So, and it's as freaking crazy as it sounds, but it's awesome. So, but there's a lot of good horror comics out there now too. So, for people that, are trying to steer a little bit away from some of the superhero stuff, but
definitely.
Yeah. But
nice to kind of bring it back a little bit old school like that, where it just has that, the horror element, human interest kind of storyline, right? So it's nice that they're kind of stepping away, not entirely, but a little bit from the superhero genre, go back into some of those just traditional sci-fi, thriller.
Yeah,
tales.
weird tales, cool like all those old school ones. I love. I have some of the weird tales, like Blueprints.
Yeah,
pretty fun.
Yeah, I chase the EC stuff when I can find it, but man, it's hard because that stuff just goes for a minute. So you got to pick and choose your battles there. So.
Oh yeah,
you say it's hard. But you have almost a whole freaking wall full of it.
Yeah.
Well, just do what you can do. So.
But the funniest thing I remember about the comic books is like Wizard magazine would put out who they thought were going to be in the movies, like way back when, before Blade came out and Marvel was even a universe. And I always remember they would pick out random movie stars and put them like, this is Mr. Fantastic and this could be Sue Storm. And it was always funny, cheesy 90s things. But
yeah, I just found one of my old Wizards the other day. I just found one. I have one of those magazines. Yeah, remember it used to come like the trade cards. Remember that?
Yeah,
those things are hot now, man. You get those things, or like the insert, like they go on eBay for a couple of bucks. I was like,
wow, there you go.
That's cool. Like, remember that though. That was a good time. You and I are like the same era, so that's great though.
Yeah. It's the internet kind of, I mean, I feel like those are the more. I'm 39, so I've been through. No social media in high school, and it was a beautiful thing. And I see all my nieces and nephews now, and they're just like, it's crazy. But I remember it was so much fun. I can't imagine going to school now.
Oh man, yeah, I can't even. My son's 7, my daughter's 3. By the time my daughter's in high school, they'll have VR freaking companions hanging out with them in school or something. But I'm not looking forward to the technology aspect of it for him. I've heard horror stories from friends that have teenage kids and the stuff they deal with, and the virtual bullying and all that crap.
Virtual bullying, jeez.
Yeah, man, it's wild. But I was when you're just talking about all the superhero series, I don't know if you've checked out the new Moon Knight series or not, but that's pretty freaking cool.
I haven't bought it, but I saw it the other day actually.
I really dig it. I didn't follow Moon Knight much before. I didn't even know much about him until this series. So this got me excited for the TV show they have coming out on Disney Plus. So
I was never really attracted to him character wise until I heard about the TV show. And I usually do like one new comic book a week. So I'm due for. I think I'm going Sunday.
Nice. Grab
something new I haven't read before, or pick up on stuff that I'm currently buying. So.
Cool. Yeah.
So when you were going to go to Savannah College of Art and Design, were you going with the idea that you wanted to specifically be a filmmaker, or were you thinking of comics, or did maybe one of the both, or what was that like?
No idea.
Choose your path there. Okay.
No idea. Yeah, I went there. I had no idea what a fucking camera was. No idea what a director was. I had no idea, and I drew day and night. And I was making my own comic books, and I was doing a lot of still lifes and just drawings and model paintings, and I was just so busy. And then my roommate actually had a class on editing, and he had to make a short film, and this is like 2007. I've been out for about 14 years now. But yeah, he was making a short film in his editing class, and I just going through the process was amazing. I was just like, wow, this is very cool, and I can make these comic books come to life, and I got to do all the storyboards for him, and when it came out, it was so terrible. I was just like, wow, I can do better than this, because I was just following his lead, and I just switched my major like the next week, and I kept drawing as a minor, sequential art as a minor, just because I think it's really helpful with what I do now, and I feel like it's like a great marriage. But yeah, and I actually only did 1 year of film and television, but I managed to catch up pretty fast, and I got a degree in that. So yeah, I was just doing a lot of catching up, and I happened to be in a band. I was in a metal band at the time, and
nice,
man,
me too.
yeah, I was in a college metal band called Failure by Design, and we were just small guys and screamo, metalcore, whatever, under oath shit. So it was kind of cool. Yeah. But I just
what did you play in the band? Were you guitar or drums or
rhythm? Yeah, I just played rhythm. Yeah, I was just
okay.
I wasn't lead, but I was just like, I had long hair and everything.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, mine went away. So I had to just embrace that. But
I'm at my age, man. I'm afraid to cut it off. It may never come back. So that's where
mine. Yeah, I started dyeing it and just started going away, and I was like, fuck it, here we go. But yeah, I just made a lot of friends in the metal community and started doing music videos for money, and I just started after college. I feel like I developed my skill through music videos and smaller budgets and free, and just kind of picked up into short films. And it was just, I feel like if you can draw comics, so you can draw sequential stuff in sequences, it makes you a way better director or storyteller. So I feel like that's huge nowadays for me. And I see other movies that I'm like, oh, that was terrible. And I wonder, like Del Toro, Guillermo del Toro, like he draws all his stuff, and I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He makes all his monsters, and I just have mad respect for that. So.
Yeah, pushing that envelope, right? I think when you do the sequential, you can get the odd angles, right? You can get things coming out on screen like that. That someone that doesn't have that vision or thought, I mean, they might not gravitate towards it or think about that. Like, hey, we can have this thing coming out of frame, or we can do all these different angles. And you see a lot of that with like Quentin Tarantino, like with the fan cam, like those kind of things.
Yeah,
yeah, it gets real creative with some of his stuff. So
yeah, he's awesome.
No, it really is like the perfect marriage, like you said, though, because like I'll even sometimes when I'm trying to write a comic script, I'll even when I'm explaining a panel to one of these guys, I'll say like the camera angle, and I'm like, "There's no fucking camera; it's a piece of paper." Yeah. But you just explain. You're picturing the bird's eye view or the worm's eye view or over the shoulder, and it's just. So I often wondered that. I mean, I will say,
you gotta know your perspective too. You gotta know everything about that angle to get them to draw the correct angle. So when you're setting it up, it's like, if you don't know what you're talking about or know how to draw it, how are you going to explain it by like pointing fingers? And I'm just like, here it is. Let me draw it for you. This is exactly what I want. And bam. So, but I agree fully.
Yeah. That's really cool.
How the flow goes, right? What the Z pattern is what they say on the comic page, where the eye goes, right? You should have that kind of in there as you flow and things like that. So it's a big part of it too. To your point.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to, obviously this is Halloween week. We're pretty lucky 3 days before Halloween to have a director on that just put out a brand new Halloween themed horror movie. So wanted to talk Bad Candy a little bit. Yeah. So, well, first of all, you said you had the screening in New Salem Tuesday night or whatever. So how was that? Was that a fun experience?
Yeah, it was great. It was in Atlanta. The fictional town Atlanta. In the movie is called New Salem, but
New Salem.
It went great. We had a packed house, and it was always good to see it. It's like a 3-year process to do this movie, so it's like you have to concept art, which I do my own concept art. There again, trying to sell it to investors to be like, hey, this is the concept. This is who we have. I want to have this person, and I got to make mood boards and color boards for my DP, and I mean, I'm like, the only other person I know that does that is James Cameron, and I'm a huge James Cameron fan because that dude he came from being a model, prop designer, all the way to fucking the top 2 movies, of all time. And so, I mean, yeah, the screening went amazing. The movie's been out for about 3 weeks, and it did like a small theater run, which is really, I mean, this is a low budget film. This is like this is like right around $100,000 film. And when you see the trailer, people were like, oh, even Corey Taylor's people were like, did you have like 5 million? And I'm like, I fucking wish I had 5 million. But I can't imagine what I'd do with that. But yeah, I just it's been a crazy process. It's about 2 to 3 years to flip a movie from like pitching it to like finding money. There's so many like, walls you run into with fake investors, people who don't want to help, and people who don't believe in the concept. And then you just gotta like, I actually had to fund most of this myself. Wow. And luckily I do music videos on the side. I do a lot of big metal bands. So that really helps me. I guess you could say that's my day job as a music video director. So I kind of use, like my connections to Slipknot and, some of those people. And I was like, hey, Corey, you've never been in a movie. You want to try being in a movie? You have a great voice. Obviously, I could coach you on some acting. And he was all down. He read the script. He was fucking in. And he was super stoked. And
that was his first movie?
Well, yeah, his first role. Like,
yeah.
Role where he's like throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, he was great.
Before.
Okay.
And he had done cameos. And I was like, dude, you got it. You got the voice. I mean, you're a radio DJ announcer, So
yeah.
Perfect. And he was actually really good, and him and Zach Galligan, Zach obviously from Gremlins, he's amazing. And having him was kind of cool. Just because, I think I grew up watching Gremlins 1,000 times.
Oh man, Gremlins is one of my all-time favorites. So when I saw him in the cast, I'm like, no way, that's awesome. So that was cool to see.
Great. And it's weird because Corey or Zach was a replacement. I actually had Sid Haig. Devil's Rejects, and he sadly passed away.
Yeah,
like right before we were about to shoot, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So he passed away, and we were like, "Oh shit, who are we gonna get now?" And I was just looking around. I was like, "Oh, I worked with Corey before. Let me, let's reach out to him." And he was down, And it would have been amazing with Sid, but you can't. He passed away, and it's crazy. But I think Corey did pretty well. Did a good job.
He was great. Yeah.
I met those guys back in 1999. The Slipknot guys. I was filming local bazooka up here in Worcester, Mass.
Nice.
They just hit, man. That album came out. The first big hit out, People Equal Shit there. That first came out like, that. I remember it was so awesome. Like I was a big fan, and they're hanging out, and I'm backstage with those guys, and like, and they come up, and I just Joey was there, and I said, Joey, man, you wail on the drums. I'm like, how long have you been playing? And he goes, 6 months.
Oh my god.
They're just funny. He was just fucking around, but they're funny as hell. Like they're just hilarious, And I had some cool stuff. I had like a signed drum head from that show that they gave me. And then unfortunately, their bassist passed away too. And then Joey, of course, recently too. It's rough. So
it's crazy.
Time. But hell of a musician. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
they're talent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah.
I remember that whole 99 thing. I was at one of the shows in 99 too, and I remember they burned a Fred Durst poster from Limp Bizkit. And he like, this guy's fucking ruining metal, and he just lit it on fire on the stage. And I was like, who's this dude in the mask? He's funny as shit. And just let it burn. And I was like, wow, okay.
There were so many theories that they were like that they were like from other bands. They were like a super group secretly. Like there's all kinds of theories. Like when they first came on the scene, like everyone had think, oh, that's like Buckethead had played with Guns N' Roses. Everyone's like, oh, that's whoever, Steve Vai or something.
Yeah, nobody knew who he was. Yeah. I thought that was hilarious.
Marty Friedman was another one they thought, right? Marty Friedman, because he hadn't been doing much and kind of disappeared.
That show too I went to, the opening band was amazing, and they were giving out fucking these little CD things at the end of the show, and they were so young, and I'll never forget. But it was fucking Chester from Linkin Park.
Oh wow. Okay.
And they were the opener. And you know how you see those new bands? They're like, hey, check this CD out. Has 2 songs on the CD. And he's like, our album drops in 3 weeks. And I just remember grabbing the CD. And I'm just like, hell yeah, this is awesome. And then fucking exploded. You know.
Yeah,
man, that was my band.
Weird,
I was in middle school. I'm a few years younger than you. I'm 36. So like Linkin Park was like, man, I was obsessed with Linkin Park. So I just actually watched a documentary on them recently. I didn't realize they hadn't even they weren't like they got put together basically. Mike Shinoda was talking about that. Like they didn't even really know each other that well, and you would never know. Like the chemistry those guys had was freaking incredible. So that's crazy. You get to see them as an opener. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was them. It was System of a Down, Fear Factory. All new bands. Not Fear Factory. They've been around for a while. But System of a Down was sort of brand new. They had just come out earlier that year.
Static X around then. Yeah, Cold Chamber is another one.
So many good bands. It was weird.
Yeah, I remember last time I saw Rollins band playing Boston. I was standing right next to Aaron Lewis from Stain. I'm like, oh, what's up, Aaron Lewis from Stain? Like, because they hadn't become anything yet. We used to play with Godsmack at the Bahama Beach Club in Nashua before they were anything too. They were just like 5 dudes that got up off the bar and grabbed some instruments. It was like, oh, whatever, you know. It was a cool time, man. Like those '90s, that late '90s, early 2000s era was really, really interesting. And there was a big hardcore metal punk scene up here in New England, like in the mid-90s. Oh yeah, it was tremendous.
I've been to the New England was it Death Fest or something?
Yeah.
I've been to that like 5 or 6 times. I
probably saw you. Didn't realize.
Yeah, we always went up to that, see Hatebreed and like all kinds of bands.
Jamie Joss and I used to talk on the phone like weekly and trade shows and book out things, and that was if you want to do a documentary, Scott, that would be a fantastic documentary. Is to do a whole thing on that era, man, because that was a magical time, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, you could go into any cafe, coffee shop on like a Wednesday night, and there'd be 300 to 400 kids there, and they were all committed and all into it. It was like unbelievable. It was like the biggest thing that nobody knows ever happened. Like, it was just incredible. And
I can't name 5 bands that came out today or the last few years that have the impact that those 6-7 bands you just named. I can't think of anybody out right now. Maybe Asking Alexandria, but they're so poppy metal. It's nobody. I don't really care.
It bridged the generation, right? It was like the pre-internet, right? It was
exactly.
Time. Yeah.
I would agree to that. Though. Like, because I feel like most kids now, like they're like going retro with like some of the
they're going to hip hop.
Or they're going to hip hop, or like the rock they like is like, oh, like they're into Nirvana now, or like they're into these older bands.
Cool,
exactly. So like, there's no one coming out now on like the rock metal scene that like the Foo Fighters, but I mean they've been around. They're not new.
Foo Fighters been around forever. I go to Metallica next week in Atlanta, and I'm stoked about that. But I'm like, the opener they have is the Greta Van Fleet, which is they're cool, but they're kind of like a copy of Led Zeppelin. So it's like I'm struggling. There's a few bands maybe like Tetrarch. They're kind of new, but they don't really know who they are. Fire from the Gods. There's some smaller bands trying, but it's not like fucking Slipknot and then openers Linkin Park and Fear Factory, and it's just it's such a great time.
Chevelle. I forget Chevelle. I love Chevelle.
I've done a video for Chevelle. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. That's, man. I was late to them. My best friend, he actually went to film school and he edits like commercials and shit now. But like he was so into Chevelle in high school, and I was more Godsmack, Linkin Park, and I just wasn't in. And then when their last album came out, I got it. And I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. And so like I went back and I just bought all of their old albums, and I'm like, I can't believe I went all those years without being into Chevelle, man.
Yeah.
They're on like repeat on my I just say my iPod, my iPhone right now. No one has iPods.
I miss the iPods.
On your Victrola.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. There used to be a show out of Boston called Rage TV. It was like on WTB 38. It would come on at like 1:30 in the morning on Saturday nights, and they would have local bands like that. And that's where I first saw this new band called Korn and Chevelle. And like, so
that doesn't
I would
happen
remember
anymore either. Like that.
Yeah, it was so cool. Community access.
Beavis and Butthead is how I found most of my fucking music. And I was
yeah.
Amazing. MTV, when they actually played videos, I'd get off of the bus stop in middle school and it was the top 10. And then I'd be like, oh, cool, we're going to get rock and metal at midnight, MTV too, you know? Like there's nothing to look forward to like that anymore. It's like, what's on TikTok? What are you going to watch for 10 seconds and swipe?
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. It's not cool anymore, you know. So
you just reminded me of my childhood, though. I was gonna say my dad would block MTV. We had DirecTV, and he would block MTV when he was leaving the house, so I couldn't watch like TRL or any of the music videos when I got home from school. But I could watch freaking Nightmare on Elm Street and see someone get their head cut off. But for some reason, like the music videos, it's like that freaking Twisted Sister video where the dad's like telling the kid like, no, like this is devil shit, you know. And it's like I never to this day I don't understand why my dad blocked MTV, but I could watch any horror movie I ever wanted. It doesn't make any sense.
Good thing, because here you are, so it worked out well. So
I guess. I mean, I don't know.
My mom took away Marilyn Manson and 9 Inch Nails, and she started listening to him. I was like, wait, what the fuck? That shit and just listen to it yourself, and it's so funny. I don't know.
Remember all that shit with Marilyn Manson? They thought that it was like causing kids to kill themselves.
Yeah, it was like a nationwide. It was like the 90s Satanic Panic, basically version. Everybody was freaking the fuck out, and like all these church people were losing their shit. And I remember watching it. It was hilarious. I was just like, they were like, "Oh, he peed on the crowd." I'm like, that's fucking funny. Everybody opened their mouths and they paid for the ticket. What do you want to say? And you know, it's just like all this demonic shit. But like, it's so society is so desensitized now. You can't do that now. And if Marilyn Manson came out now, it'd have to be like cutting the heads off of cats or something crazy, you know. And still, then you're like, oh, you're a copy. But I remember that. It was a crazy time.
Yeah,
it was wild.
I had a friend that got caught up in all that, local guy, and he was like the only kid in the school that was into those kind of bands, and they even like somebody accused him in a newspaper of like having a hearse full of baby parts behind like a store in his hometown, and like all this crazy stuff, and he's a Satanist and all this stuff. I was like, no, dude, I just like metal bands and I like dark music. But it was weird. It was a real thing. It was almost like a witch hunt for a bit there, where they were coming after people. That was a real thing.
Yeah. You know, actually, you say that, like there were people that would pick on that music when I was listening to it, but I didn't understand it because they were huge. So I'm like, why is this getting picked on? Like, this shit's awesome. I didn't care. I didn't change what I listened to, but I mean, no one accused me of having baby parts, but
I think the visual itself too, like the music videos for like Sweet Dreams from Marilyn Manson. Some of that imagery was incredible. Like 9 Inch Nails, like doing some crazy shit.
It was new,
I think that helped with the mantra of like, you know, people flipping the fuck out. And I just thought it was funny.
You know, relating comic to the music we're talking about right now, comics. I didn't know until a few months ago that Todd McFarlane did all the artwork for Follow the Leader with Korn.
Oh yeah, I knew that. I
did not know that until I was like, and then obviously once you hear it, you're like, oh, well, no shit, that makes a ton of sense now. But at the time, I didn't know that, so I thought that was so awesome because that was like my favorite. I remember having the CD and opening it, like folded out, and it had all this art on it, and I remember that album. So that was one of my favorite albums.
I could tell from the style. I remember seeing that. I was like, that looks just like McFarlane. Same style. Like it was just. I love the super detailed comic book artists, you know, like Stephen Platt, that did Prophet. Am I getting his name right? If you remember that Prophet and Wetworks, like those like really detailed, crazy, and Jim Lee used to do a lot of stuff like that.
You got the .003 micro pens and like doing all the little hatch work and shit.
Yeah, I don't know if you read Immortal Hulk, but that series that was out, we had Joe Bennett on the show before all the crap that he's been dealing with, unfortunately. But yeah, his detail is freaking immaculate. Like, and And I had read Immortal Hulk with my son, which now looking back was probably a bad idea. It was not really for not for a 7-year-old, but he loved the Hulk. But I didn't admire it much at the time. It was the Hulk to me. But then we got into doing comics, and when we had him coming on as a guest, I went back to reread it, and I'm like, holy crap, this is amazing. Yeah. So that's probably the most recent name that stands out to me when I think of like insane detail was, we were making the joke to him that his inkers must hate his guts because
of the
freaking lines that he put on his paper. But yeah,
I bet.
So when you said you do all the storyboards and do all that stuff for the movies, with Bad Candy, did you design the look of I don't even know what the name of that freaking not the clown, but in the wood scene? Yeah.
I didn't design that, so that's a cool story though. But the guy's name is Wayne Anderson, and he is like the next Stan Winston, but 35. So Stan Winston made the Queen from Aliens, all the Predator suits, Jurassic Park, the original one. He was like in charge, making all that, and like E.T. and all that stuff. But Wayne Anderson is he was under I forget his name, Steve Wang. So Steve Wang is an ultra famous creature maker in Hollywood. He made like the Guyver. He made a lot of like the Ninja Turtles, like stuff like that. He's like that guy. And so Wayne was his protege. And I had just been a fan of Wayne. Wayne did the new Predator suit, like the movie from like 4 years ago.
Yep.
He did Jurassic World, both of them. So he worked on like, all kinds of crazy stuff. And he was actually, I just hit him up on Instagram. I was like, yo, you make amazing stuff. Like, can we get help in this weird Halloween movie we're making called Bad Candy? And he's like, yeah, man, like, what's your budget? And like, tell me the dates and all that. He was literally in New Zealand working on Avatar 2 with James Cameron.
Yeah.
And I flew him from New Zealand, and he basically flew in, and we shot for a couple of days, and he had that creature, and we made some quick mods to the wings and stuff like that to make it, just a little different. But that creature is all from him. So I just kind of like,
that's awesome.
Him, and he's a good guy, man. He was like, I was just making Kate Winslet's Avatar face. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And he just fucking flew off this $1 billion budget movie film in Atlanta, with me, and it was an honor. And he was so cool and down to earth. And now he's starting to make creatures for the sequel that we're about to do a sequel.
Oh, you do it. Nice.
Awesome.
We actually do another movie, which first, and then we do the sequel next year. So kind of doing like a little horror universe, if you will.
That's cool.
That's great.
Yeah, and you'll appreciate it, Joel. Is it's called the Virginia Bitches. So it's about 4 chicks in a metal band in the 90s who are vampires.
Awesome.
Nice. Say no more. I'm there. Sold.
Yeah. So and it's cool. I got Alyssa White Glutz from Arch Enemy to be the lead.
Awesome.
And then I have Heidi from Butcher Babies, and then I have like 2 actors who are going to be the 4. So it's basically like a take on Kitty, like Kitty.
Nice.
All in the 90s, no social media. I got Bill Moseley as the warlock. It's basically they break down in this small town full of cannibals, and the cannibals are led by a warlock. So it's like fucking Harry Potter on cocaine and metal. So that's my pitch. And it's basically the next town over from New Salem. So yeah, that's kind of
nice.
Funny. It's in the same. It's like 20 miles away in our.
Will there be any little crossover, maybe a little bit too? Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're gonna see some of the same characters in Bad Candy, and in that scene with Dracubus, you're gonna see those guys at this chicken restaurant, called Chongo Chicken. They actually bitch and complain about shitting in the ice in one of the.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
They're talking about like not wiping your hands, and there's shit in the ice, and so there's going to be a scene where they're at that restaurant in Virginia Bitches, and it's going to be kind of funny.
That's great. Yeah,
you plan on using? Do you plan on using any like the? That's all right. Sorry, I get excited. Do you have plan on using like the '90s metal music and part of that soundtrack, like actual bands from that era too? That's cool.
Well, I have Randy from Lamb of God who's going to do a cameo. I have LeJean from Seven Dust. I have the dude from Mudvayne, the lead singer of Mudvayne. I forget his damn name.
He went into Hell Yeah, right? He was playing in Hell Yeah.
He was in that for a hot second. Yep. And then I have Alyssa's boyfriend. He's the bassist in the Misfits. Doyle Van Frankenstein, the big guy. Yeah. So I have him. And then we got like a couple other people we're talking to, but I'm just kind of playing off of that whole. If you're in a metal band and it's in the 90s, you were most likely a vampire, and so it's playing off of all these real people. And it's straight up. If you've been in a band, you're going to relate to this movie in a lot of funny ways. So,
yeah, that's great. Yeah, there's a lot of funny stories too from that era, man. So like I always I thought about doing a comic book series about some of just the funny tales and stuff of events that happened, because there's some crazy shit. And like like I said earlier, man, you could do a whole a nonfiction documentary on it. Would just be fascinating too. So
I know
something that's massively overlooked. Yeah,
I remember the punk scene and the ska scene, which are like extinct right now. That was like huge. Like I remember going to the Warped Tours and like so many ska bands and metal or just punk bands like Pennywise and like Millencolin and like all these bands like that are just like nobody knows who they are anymore, except for people like us. And it's like it was like a 10-year thing where if you were in that Smart Punk magazine and you were in those like what was it called? There's like those little CD mailer things from like Victory. I think that's Victory. Yeah. And they had all the singles and
Tony Victory. He'd be an interesting guy to talk to too on here.
That guy's crazy. I worked for him a lot actually, so he's wild.
Yeah.
But
it'd be real interesting to follow up with some of those guys because some of those bands were really big, man. Like I just sent a message over to Zach from Bane to see if he wanted to come on about. I mean, that band was massive for like 25 years. Then they called it quits. And like, what's life like now? Like, what do you guys? What has it like to go get like a normal job? Like that's got to be strange. Like, right? Like it's got to be a mind trip.
I had Chris from Under Oath score Bad Candy, and I was always a huge Under Oath fan. That's coming from that era too, and they're still out kicking it. And so that was kind of cool, like being a fan of somebody like Chris that helped start Under Oath, and then he's like scoring music. So he scored this one, and he's doing the next one for us, But I think the metal just kind of meeting everybody through that era was so much fun. And I just feel like some of the bands coming out today are trying to copy the 90s, and that vibe, and it's just like not the same. And I think that has to do with the music industry too, and social media and like technology, a lot to blame.
You needed each other back then. Like you had to rely on your network, and there was so much of that and so much camaraderie. It's like, hey man, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. And like, that's what we had to do and like to get by, and everybody was super cool. It's like, hey man, book me a show in Troy, New York. I'll get you up in Manchester, New Hampshire. Like, let's trade it out. Like, it worked out great. But I think maybe now to your point with social media, it's like, it seems a little easier to network and it's a little bit more faceless. But I was actually like on the phone talking to Jamie Johnson and people like that to do these shows. It wasn't just a text message, it was a little bit more of a person behind the name. So it's kind of a different time, I think. It's just
there's like cool time. And there's like too much content. Like you can't even, there's Hulu, Netflix, Disney, iTunes, fucking Paramount, Peacock, like
everything,
Tubi, and it's like, what are you gonna pick? And you spend more time picking something than it's the same thing with social media, like oversaturation, and these kids aren't getting stimulated. They watch a video for like 5 seconds and scroll.
Mm-hmm.
I have PAs that, production assistants that work on the movies, and sometimes they happen to be younger, but it's so hilarious to me when they're like, oh fuck, and I'm like, oh, what's wrong? He's went on this online dating with this chick last night. It was horrible, and I'm like, man, it's crazy. Like I'm married now, and I'm like, bro, first of all, we had to go physically, engage and talk to that girl, ask her out, drive to her fucking house, get through the dad and the brother if there was one, bring her back before 11 and you're complaining about swiping right and you didn't like the chick or the left or whatever. Like, that's the crazy shit to me. And he's like, man, that sounds like a lot of work. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I never thought of it that way, but that's just how it was.
Yeah.
Lucky to be here.
Yeah. Well, and now even if you went like if you were single now and you went to a bar, like it's like I wouldn't even dare to try now. Like it's scary.
It's crazy.
So, yeah.
It's such a different time, and it's just so funny because they get so like, man, it's so exhausted and just can't find anybody. I'm like, well, go talk to somebody in real life. Don't fucking look at their fake pictures and makeup and great lighting. Like, just go mingle. You know, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I met my wife at a bar on New Year's Eve. You know, it was that's just how it was, and like people used to pick on the people that used like the dating apps, like, and now it's like that's the norm. Like that's just how it's done. Yeah, so
it's so crazy.
Yeah,
just different times, you know. And I met my wife. She yelled at me on a set, and I was just like walking into this stunt scene, and she's like, "Who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of the shot before you run over." And I was like, damn, who the fuck are you? That was so cool. Like, I never had anybody talk to me like that. And I was just like, okay, balls. I love it. So, yeah, she was cool. And then, we got married. But, I think that physical thing is, you know, get it. I don't know. The online thing, I'm sure it works and people have good time. But I just, I don't know. It's a lot to think about. Like,
Yeah.
Different
that's another story or movie right there is guys our age trying to, you know, be single and do the online dating thing. It's nightmare. That's a horror movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
Sounds like a good plot for one of you guys to run with. So
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I guess you're lucky, Scott, kind of in a way, man, to be down in like the Atlanta area. That's kind of a hot spot right now for movies, filmmaking, right? Walking Dead's down there, like a lot of production. So my brother owns Central Booking up in Boston, and they do a lot of like bringing in the guys that do like I don't know if you need a rain machine or like whatever all the equipment guys, camera guys. Like he gets all those guys together up here, films up here. So he does a lot of film work. But he say, hey man, a lot of the stuff is going down to Atlanta because I guess the tax is less than it is in Mass. And
you get 30%. Yeah.
If you're working with $100 million and it's 2-3%, I mean that's a lot of money, right? So
30. So 100 million. The state's giving you 30. That's why Marvel was here forever, and that's a hell of a kickback. You know, 30% from the state. And my wife, she worked on Avengers. You know, Infinity War, and she got to meet Thor and all these guys, and it was pretty amazing. Like just being 10 miles away and fucking Chris Hemsworth is hanging out and Robert Downey Jr. is just going to Mexican restaurants, and you know, you're in Georgia, so it's like, it's not like Boston, but Atlanta is like a big city, but right out, 20 minutes out, you're in the country. Right. So it's like, it's easy to hide and have some land, and most of these studios are outside the city, obviously, but it's I used to live in LA, and I hated LA because it was just so many people, and it's just the weather and the people kind of, I don't think I was a LA person, you know, honestly. I'm more of a East Coast person. I don't know.
It's a completely different vibe. But I remember when we went out there to Hollywood to visit my wife's best friend. She lived right on Hollywood Boulevard, actually, at a studio, and her boyfriend was an editor. They had just done the roast of Charlie Sheen for Comedy Central, so we got to go to the after party for that. That was freaking.
That's awesome.
That was a blast. But
a different lifestyle.
He wasn't there, by the way. I wish, but some of the other comedians were. But I couldn't. I loved it out on like in the beach area, Santa Monica, all that. But the people are just so different out there. And when you grow up on the East Coast, it's like, what are they doing? Like, what's happening right now? They're just like sitting there.
Why is that person such an asshole? That's just how they are. It's LA. It's not like New York asshole. That's just funny.
Or Boston asshole. We're just miserable.
In the line. Boston, same people, like they're not as bad, but it's more funny with New York people. They just yell at you for no reason, or you fucking honk at you. But in LA, it's more of like just I'm better than you kind of. It's weird, and I'm just like, I didn't vibe with that. I think, and I lived in Long Beach. I tried Long Beach and it was fun, but coming to Atlanta is just you can own a house out here, you can own land, for a great price, where LA, you can own a closet for the same size.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
not even fun, but I like to visit. I call LA like Vegas. Like Vegas is amazing, 2 to 3 days, and then you're done. Same with LA. It's awesome to visit. I couldn't live there.
Yeah.
But I love Boston though. I actually go to I was just up there for for a couple festivals. I know we were in Vermont for one.
Boston Calling? Was it Boston Calling?
It was Video International Screen Fest, and then
they have the Snob Film Festival too. It's another one, somewhat north of Boston, was a big one.
Yeah, there's another one that's online. They canceled the in-person stuff, which is Salem Horror Fest.
I was just going to say, do they do something in the Salem area? They got to.
It's online again this year. We were there last year too, and it was just all online last second, which I get trying to be safe and stuff. But it's crazy time to be living.
There's some cool places to film up here for sure, though. I have a cemetery on my property, so if you need a cemetery scene, come use my land. I'll let you film.
Oh yeah,
come on up.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to keep you. I'll keep you to that because I'm always up there. I'm up in Boston probably about 5-6 times a year. There's nice. I just randomly shoot up there, and I love that area, man. It's awesome.
You might run into my brother at some point. He's out there. His name's Tim, so he's out in the world. So yeah, he does a lot of work in the area and stuff. And
there's a lot of movies in Boston too, but I mean, most of them are here.
A lot of them are done. Yeah. Like, did you ever cross paths with like Walking Dead guys down in Atlanta? Must be running into those guys quite a bit.
Half of my crew was off Creepshow and Walking Dead.
Oh, nice.
Buddies, friends, and Creepshow is like 5 minutes away. Walking Dead is like 15 from where I live, and then the Marvel Studio stuff is like probably about 25 minutes. So
nice.
Yeah, it's becoming like cool. a LA East almost, right? Like a Los Angeles East Coast.
We actually one of the guys that's done the guy that did this cover for us on our comic book. He's from he lives down that way. He does a lot of extra work down at those sets in Georgia. So I've seen him posting stuff. So
that's cool.
Joel, Joel watched the documentary he mentioned at the intro there, so I wanted him to chat about that. I haven't got a chance to watch that yet.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was hard to watch, honestly. Emotionally, it was. I was going to ask you what that was like for you to go into a film like that, putting something like that together. It seems like it's a other end of the universe from doing a fun, Halloween horror movie from Bad Candy. So, talk us through a little bit about that, what that was like for you to go through and put that documentary together.
Yeah, I mean, I was living in Virginia Beach at the time before I went to LA, and that is like a Navy town, and I was just exposed to a lot. My brother, he was in the Air Force, and his wife was in the Air Force, and I just knew a lot of vets and Marines, and just kind of being exposed to Norfolk, which is like the biggest shipping port in the world, Norfolk, Virginia. So it's like all the aircraft carriers are there. So, I mean, it's like you run into these people, you mingle with these people, you're friends with them. And this guy he had been a part of 9/11, and he was like, I just thought it was weird when I met him, though. It was kind of interesting. He did like target art, which, in remembrance of what happened with 9/11, and mixed with like his own wounded buddies. He shot a target from like a really far distance, and that target became a piece of art by this Woody something, I forget his last name. He this guy who actually is an artist, and he does target art, and they had made this piece of art called Until It Hurts, and they auctioned it off to this producer, and it's just like there was like a crazy story behind why he was shooting the bullets, and being attacked. And Jason Redman was a big part of that, who is another vet who got shot 9 times in the face. And it was crazy hearing his stories, and just shit that I'm just like, thankfully I can just stay in the arts. I don't want to be a part of that. I'll help cover it and get their word out and get their message out, but I can't imagine. I mean, I probably could, but going to war and being shot, just fuck.
Yeah.
I can't even. Yeah.
Dave Hall just being able to tell those stories and that. I mean, he was how to keep it together, man, and just be able to tell that story. And it's just like, holy shit! Like, I don't know if I could tell that story. I'd be like, you're gonna have to catch up with me later, you know?
Yeah, he got blown off a roof, and his knee was the other way, and I'm just like, damn, dude. Like, don't want to play with that, but I've always been attracted to documentaries, and
me too.
it's just fun to do, and that was kind of like when I was doing a lot of music videos, and I've been trying to get out of music videos for a while, honestly, because it's a dying art, unfortunately. It's not what it used to be, you know. Obviously technology has had a huge implication on that, but movies is what I want to do, but you know, you can't just jump into it. You gotta like raise your own money, make your own movie, and see what happens, and make your next movie, and hopefully, you know, it takes off. And but yeah, I've done did that documentary, and we did a boxing movie a couple years ago with Danny Trejo called Bully.
Yep.
It was pretty cool, working with him, and that was just something different, family film. But I think my goal is to get to sci-fi one day.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate goal, is sci-fi movies, and that you got to be 10 to 20 million, you know, 10 million and above to do anything of like quality, you know.
Right.
Why, unfortunately. But horror movies are fun because, you know, you can play in a smaller sandbox and get away with a lot of things and still tell a good story. But sci-fi is kind of where I want to be. I just saw Dune, which I thought was amazing.
Oh, me too, man. I saw it in IMAX. Did you see IMAX?
John's seen it.
Yeah.
It was
man, I want to go see it again. I don't even want. I have HBO Max, but I don't even want to watch it on my TV. I want to go back and see it in IMAX again. Like, man, because the book.
Me away, you know, it took me away. I was there, and it wasn't like Star Wars. I fucking love Star Wars, but Dune, you know, was just so different. The ships were great. The fucking Dragonfly ship, that was great.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
I ain't seen that. I was like, wow. I'm like, I feel like I'm here, you know, like I can't imagine going. I know my mom and my dad went to see Star Wars when it first came out in '77, and I can't imagine seeing that shit in 1977 and being like, wow, what the fuck is this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of got that feel when I saw Avatar. I was pretty blown away by Avatar. I was just like, wow, this is fucking beautiful, and I'm just like here, and now I feel like I'm a damn tree hugger. Like, this is amazing. Like, it made me care about the earth, you know, and I just way more than I should have. So I got that vibe from Dune. Same thing. I just felt like I was there. And that's the whole point of movies and stories, you know, comic books, you got to take people away, you know, and that's part of the joy, I think, is that magical land and just getting away from your problems, or, you know, whatever, just making some cool shit.
Yeah, man. When they do the world building right, it's like you're just absorbed. Like with Dune, it's like they have their own politics, they have their own like language. Like, and I read the book. The book's one of my favorite books I've ever read. Yeah, and you know they have the big glossary in the back explaining shit because there's so much depth. And that was my big concern going into the movie for people that didn't read the book, is like if they really adapted this the way that I hope they did, people are going to be lost. And I did have a few friends that were like, the movie is amazing, but I have no idea what some of the stuff they were talking about, you know. But
they are doing a TV show, The Sisterhood of the Lady Jessica.
So
explain some side stuff that would be helpful, I think. HBO Max. So that's cool. I'm kind of curious about that. I love the TV show. I do love movies, and I feel like movies are superior, but I do think TV is also awesome to get a hell of a bigger story, you know, and wrap around the characters, you know. I think that's pretty cool.
You think you'll ever try to do a series? I mean, there's so many streaming things out there. So,
I mean, I would love to. Yeah, I feel like I'm actually supposed to work on something. It's called Black Veil. It's from it might be for Hulu, but it's like the guy who did Blair Witch Project and the writer of Final Destination. And it's just like Southern Gothic horror. So I might be doing. I'm in talks with them. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I just blew it by talking about it.
Oh no!
They will watch us anyway.
But I'm not locked down to any contracts. But I just thought that was cool. That it's like, oh, Final Destination and fucking Blair Witch, and they're trying to hire me because they saw Bad Candy, and I thought that was kind of interesting. But I'd love to do TV. Usually TV has a bigger budget too. You can more toys and you can get wild with it, big time. So
it's awesome.
I do love TV.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology changing, obviously, in the film industry. Do you ever think there'd be a point where things like virtual reality, augmented reality, and film might mesh? My vision is maybe you could experience a film almost in like a 360 panoramic, right? Like you could put on a VR headset and look around that scene, and you could see like the creature above the characters, right? And
that'd be
like
great.
that. Yeah, I think that may be coming. I don't know if you have any insight on that, or if you feel that eventually you'll see some more merger of some technology like that, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I actually just did my first VR thing, in Vegas, and we played some crazy video game that was like a self-made game at some, I don't even know what the place, it wasn't like PlayStation or whatever, it was like some made VR game in Vegas, but it was like fucking mind-blowing because we were in the water, we were on a helicopter, jumping off buildings, and I'm just looking down. I was like, I am not jumping. Fuck it. Oh, wait, I'm on flat ground. I'm good to go. I'll just hop. Like, you're looking down. There's they got the wind fans on you, and you're in this, like, I think it was like 20 by like 50-foot space. You got guns, like helmets, and it was 4 of us total. And I was just like, man, I'm sweating. Like, this is awesome. And it was just a great experience, but that would be awesome to get in. I'm sure it's coming. I mean, I feel like what was that Spielberg movie that came out a couple years ago?
Ready Player One?
Yes. I feel like that's 20 years out, 15 maybe. Like just the way that, like the suit when he got hit, he felt it and really felt it.
No joke. I was just talking to Joel about that movie before we came on the show tonight. That's hilarious.
Because Facebook's pushed, that he's changed their name today to Meta, and they're going to be pushing themselves into more of a VR experience for everybody. We're talking about that, like what if you could be, what if you could be like cooler and have more shit in like a virtual world, and you're actually like a baller there? Like, why would you want to mess around with like your shit life in the real world? It's how are you gonna get people to eventually unplug, right? So he brought up like Ready Player One. It's like,
that's such a good film. I heard they're making a sequel, I think.
Well, they did a second book. The guy, that's another book. If I know there's a movie coming out, I always try to read the book first, just because I'm just weird like that. I like to compare the two. So yeah, the guy, I haven't read the second book yet. I still have it. The thing with doing these shows is like, we try to prepare for our guests. So like, we'll watch the movies, we'll read the books, and like, so like my pile is like this, and like the stuff I bought to like just read casually, like just kind of on the wayside. So I haven't read it yet. It's still sitting on my shelf, but I've heard it's a lot of the same of what you would expect from the first. But I don't care. I mean, I love the first one. So
it was so much fun, like being chased and by King Kong and fucking Back to the Future DeLorean. That was cool.
You're driving into the DeLorean, getting chased by King Kong. You're in the Shining house, the Overlook Hotel. Like, I mean, that wasn't in the book, by the way, but I didn't when I saw that, because The Shining is like my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. So when I saw that scene, I was like, yes.
Have you ever been to Colorado?
No. Yes. I want to go.
It's awesome. They have like the red rum shots you can get, and they can get the 237 the room, and you can stay there. It's pretty cool. It's obviously, it doesn't look like the movie, but parts of it do, because they shot the movie. I think it was like Montana or something, another place. But it's a cool place. It's a fun visit to go there in Colorado.
I want to. I got nervous because that's like a bucket list spot to go. Yeah. And I saw last year when they had all the wildfires out there.
Yeah.
There was a picture of the Overlook with like wildfires behind the, in the background. And I'm like, don't fucking burn that place down. Yeah.
You can go to Skinwalker Ranch while you're out that way too. I mean,
I've always wanted to go there. I'd love to. I've heard, man, Joe Rogan did a great podcast on that, I think.
Yeah.
He had those guys on, I think. Jeremy Corbell and somebody. But I remember listening to that. It was amazing. That'd be cool to
it's They have that series out now too, right? If I forget what that's on. I don't know if that's SciFi, one of those channels.
Well,
But
it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch. I started watching on. I think it was the EONE. I think is where it was.
What is it called? Just Skinwalker.
I think it's just called Skinwalker Ranch. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I think I saw a thing for it.
Bruce Bigelow, I think, was one of the guys, right? Originally bought it. One of those guys, this aerospace defense guys, investors, and yeah, that's a crazy place and crazy things happen out there. I have a theory that there might be, whether you believe it or not, maybe there's either a lost ancient technology that's reacting under the ground, like something crashed or got intentionally buried, or it's like a alien craft that crashed into the ground and it's causing bending space and time and wild shit to happen in that area. So yeah, because they keep finding high levels of radiation and all these events keep happening, and when they dig, like weird things happen. The further down they get in the ground and things. And,
that's cool.
Yeah,
the TikTok
so
videos and like the F-15 chasing that one.
Yeah,
and it goes into the fucking water. That's pretty badass. Like I'm all into that shit. I'm just like that thing was going because I watch a lot of podcasts and watching that Joe Rogan talk to that dude. And he was just like, yeah, we were off the coast, San Diego, and they were chasing this thing. And then it shoots like 60 miles away in like 4 seconds and it pings up on the radar and they have no way to explain it. And then they found it again or something and it just goes into the water. And I'm like, yeah, man, like there's something down there. There's got to be something down there.
Now they're admitting it, right? They say, oh yeah, we have off-world craft or whatever, things like that. And I think there was I heard something like like they were saying recently that like China might have some super advanced stuff like that. Like maybe it's plausible that they have done some crazy shit and figured out like a different propulsion system. And obviously for national security, they don't want us to like freak out to think that China is like way more superior than we are. So there might be like a bit of a disinformation campaign going on where they're coming out and saying like, oh yeah, it's off-world crap, but really it's just like we're kind of falling behind with some of this stuff. And yeah, my wife and father-in-law work for a military defense contract company, and he's like, I can't tell you what we got, but just understand we're 25, 30 years ahaid of where you think we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I always made the joke, it's like rich people from the future. Like
the Tony Starks of the world, they're real, like those real guys.
Look at the fall of civilization 20 years before it happens, and right before the humans run out of food and burn the atmosphere. Like, hey, this is how it was. You can come experience this like Jurassic Park. And you're gonna be in this saucer so we can create hysteria and fly around and freak people out, and you're only gonna see them for a blip and then they're gone. And this is what you have to pay. I don't know. It's always.
You would think that think aliens would get smart and just make their UFOs look like Boeing 747s or something.
Yeah.
And everybody, they can
They're probably already here. I believe in that. I feel like they're already here. They got to be here somewhere. They look like us, or there's so many things that I'm just like, it's too hard to deny.
Or they're micro, right? They're super microscopic, and they just can't be normally.
Men in Black, they're like, galaxy thing.
Yeah,
you never know.
We had a horror author, Brian Keene, on a few months back, and he wrote a book called Triangle of Belief, which is basically his real life encounters, seeing a UFO. And he was telling us a story, and it was freaking gave you goosebumps. It's like,
wow.
He called the I forget it's like a hotline, basically like a UFO sighting hotline. He called them. He saw these 3 dots in the sky, 3 lights, like a triangle, and he said they said it moved out like toward the west or whatever. And so he called them, and then the next day he was went on the website, and he was like reading all these reports of multiple people reporting this triangle of 3 lights going towards the west coast. So he was just telling us that story, and it was I don't know, man. Like I haven't seen anything like that, but I definitely believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the Kurt Russell story where Kurt Russell was the pilot who reported, I think it was the Arizona Lights, the 26 UFOs?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, fucking Kurt Russell was the goddamn pilot, like flying his son back from something, and he's the one that called in, saw 20. Is the Arizona Lights? You know what I'm talking about? Like it was like 26 UFOs all over the Arizona skyline, and
sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, the Phoenix Lights. the Phoenix Lights. It's like a famous sighting.
Yeah.
But
it was Kurt Russell. I didn't know that. That's hilarious.
Kurt Russell. Yeah, Kurt Russell.
Call me Snake.
Phoenix Lights. Yeah, he was like, I saw him talk. Yeah, Kurt Russell was the pilot that reported the Phoenix Lights.
That's insane.
In 97. That took place in 97. I was flying with my son Oliver to see his girlfriend, and we were on approach. I saw six lights over the airport in a V shape. He's the one that reported it. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You imagine? I just picture, Kurt Russell, like this big action star in real life, sees freaking alien invasion. It's like, what? Like, this is, you can't write this.
I know.
Is that Bumblebee putting that out? Is that the Onion? Like,
right?
I have seen like 2 UFOs. It's funny. I have like a 8K resolution camera, and the one time I saw one, it was just a weird light at nighttime, just making kind of weird movements in Utah. And I was driving cross country. And of course, my fucking red camera is in the back in the trunk, not put together. And I'm like trying to get it on my iPhone, and it's just gone. And I'm just like, great. Yeah. Videographer with a 8K resolution camera and telephoto lens couldn't get it out in time to catch this damn thing that was only there for like 20 seconds. But I've seen a few things that I'm like, that's weird. That's awesome. It's pretty cool. And I can't explain it. And I mean, it just makes too much sense. Like, the Earth is so small. The next galaxy is so huge. Like, it's just light years away, and there's so much space, and we don't know shit.
Exactly. Well, and that's what I always say, when like all these people that like laugh at that sort of thing, right? It's like, do you look like when you're driving around every day, do you just look around and be like, how the fuck did this all happen? Like, we're a civilization. Like, we have buildings and cars and like we do all this shit. Like, you think in this galaxy with all these planets that we're legit the only freaking thing that could ever do that? Like, how small-minded do you have to be to think like that?
The day, and they're actually doing it right now. The day, I think it was the Mars rover, took a sample of bacteria and soil, and it's on its way back to Earth. But if they find microbes on that fucking soil, that's aliens in a bacterial form.
Right.
And my brother, he's a pastor. It's hardcore religious. I wouldn't say I'm anti-religious, but I'm not religious at all. I'm just like, you don't fucking believe in this shit. But you'll believe some dude in the sky parted the sea and Moses and tablets and all this shit. You believe in that, and you believe there's no dinosaurs and the Earth is 2,000 years old, but you don't believe that we're not alone. I don't get that. Like, it blows my
or it's
mind.
interdimensional, right? It could be just that we're stacked on top of things, right? And the things are here, but it's a different experience. Like, another species is sharing the same space, but in an alternate dimension. Right?
Deja vu.
Occasionally, they might be able to click through, right, and punch through dimensions. And we see like Bigfoot, right? We see the Loch Ness monster. We see UFOs because there's like a Swiss cheese thing, and occasionally they go through the holes and they appear in our world and go back to the Swiss hole, go back to their world. So that's plausible too, right?
There's deja vu times I have. I'm just like, I feel like I've done this before.
Oh yeah.
It's just like this. Like, what you're doing is like totally, what I expected, or it's just I feel like I've been places and I'm here again, but who knows? I had no idea, but that's part of the fun too. And it's weird.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Yeah, that stuff's great.
When the deja vu doubles down, though, that's when it's like really fucking creepy. It's like you're like, all right, I think this has happened before, and then like you think this is gonna happen next, and then it does. You're like, I'm out. Like, fuck this. Like,
I should just yell out like, fuck. Okay, it breaks it up.
It's weird. But there's something out there. There's totally something, or they're already here. Or I like the ant farm thing. I just like, if I was an alien and how primitive we are, even now we're so primitive, I would just put us on some fucking blue planet and watch us fight each other and kill each other for thousands of years, and just like, hey, that's entertainment.
It's the best reality show ever.
Best reality show ever. We're gonna fucking blow each other up, shoot each other on a daily basis, have the weirdest politics and the strangest history and just like wipe us out. And then
they chase this paper called money that has no real value other than you can get things. But
we're just a fucking ant farm at the end of the day. We're just somebody's entertainment. We're just an ant farm on this blue rock, and who knows?
Or we're all a computer simulation, right?
Or Elon's right. Elon could be right.
Yeah, we're just programs interacting with each other in a big, mainframe somewhere, right?
Matrix I just watched Matrix again the other day. God,
good movie. Good. Holds up. It holds up.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the opening scene, I'm just like, Jesus. Like,
I should go back. I haven't watched that in years, and I watched it all the time when I had it on DVD back in the day. But definitely before the new one comes out. So and actually, that's next month, isn't it?
It's coming out. Yeah, I think in like 4 months, 5 months.
Is it that far out? Okay, yeah. Well, that gives me time because that's another movie I want to see in theaters. I know it's coming to HBO, but I'd rather see that on the big screen. But yeah. I don't know what your thoughts are. I wanted to show the trailer for Bad Candy too.
Yeah.
I got that pulled up here. I gotta let the YouTube ad play first.
Yeah.
We don't show that crap.
There we go.
No ads. Get out of here, YouTube.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, they do that all the time too. So
you can't get away from it anymore.
You can't refresh and then just get around it. I tried that the other day with my kids. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's brutal. Even some of these paid services now, they just like, we're still gonna pop ads in on you. Okay, share. I'm getting better at the sharing screen thing here because
don't forget to include the sound, sir. Remember
it's auto included now. I defaulted it, so we're yeah. I'll play it here, and the trailer hooked me. I love this trailer, so here we go.
Welcome back, kids, to the Psychotronic FM Halloween show. This is Chilly Billy. It's station 66.6. Ghouls, werewolves, vampires, ghosties with the mosties.
You guys ready for tonight?
It's Halloween, or as we like to call it, Hell Hallows Eve. We continue down this dark and dusty road on the night when the space between the living and the dead is at its thinnest.
You're kind of old to be trick-or-treating.
I want you to call in with your scariest ideas, your deepest fears, your spookiest nightmares, so I can twist the knife into your stories. Can you dig it?
Oh, watch it.
When you make it up to you? Got the really good candy.
Hey, Bill, we got a caller on the line that wants to know what your biggest fear is.
My biggest fear?
Mm-hmm.
The dark.
This is going to be awesome.
Happy Halloween! You gonna die, bitch. Bye!
I love that line. Yeah. That's man, that trailer's freaking awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The visuals are so good in it, man. Like the lighting is spot on for like a low budget film. I mean, it is awesome. Like I don't know how you pulled that off or what your tricks are, man. But that you could be looks like $100 million film.
You should see my damn yard. Holy shit, my fucking yard right now is like crazy. I'm just because I DP'd most of the movie, so I shot and directed it. I was like going for Guardians of the Galaxy meets Halloween, like nice. Ultra colorful and just fun and more fun. Like it's dark comedy. Like I'm a huge fan of Sam Raimi, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead. Mel Brooks even a lot of Mel Brooks movies. Taika I'm a big fan of his nowadays. But people watch Bad Candy. I'm just like. It's a weird movie, man. It's about a town called New Salem, and it is one fucked up place, but it's kind of funny and weird, and scary and whatever creatures.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lore and a lot of colors, but
Are you putting like a filter on your lens when you shoot that to get that more of that kind of a soft effect to that mechanically? What does that
No,
look
not
like
all
to
the
pull that?
time. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
mainly I try to do as much in camera as I can, but it was just a lot of lights, a lot of like
Wow.
using what I have. And I mean, the scene with the clown and his lair,
Yeah.
that's like, I have a studio here where we, I build the sets with my set guy, and I think we must have chopped down like 300 vines and put them on the ground and all that, and bought a shit ton of pumpkins, and just kind of like just tried different lighting until we got it right. And I always want to look at it, but it's like painting and drawing, same thing. Like we're just sketching it, we sketch it out, we see what works, and it's all about those angles. You got to get the right angle and the right lighting, and just test until you get it right. And instead of hiring somebody and trusting them, I think that's what the drawing stuff taught me, is to like do it yourself and get what you want out of it, and it's kind of fun to just have control over all that, but it was a really fun movie to make. It's weird, it's funny, and
oh man, I really enjoyed it. My favorite scene was definitely the scene I talked about earlier out in the woods there, because the whole time, when they're building up to, you're like, what the hell are these guys going to be doing? Like, what are they building up to here? And then when it finally gets to that part in the movie, I'm like, oh shit.
They're cleaners. They're cleaning the town. They're trying to keep things moving, and it's cool. Like they're just, that's why the one guy in the scene, he's like, picks up the hooker, and she's like, oh, I'm going to my pimp, and he's like, oh, I always wanted to meet a pimp. And he's like, that's good. That's a good victim for me, and
that's Yeah, I guess I would have to ask, because it's asked in the trailer. Scott, what are you most afraid of?
I mean, I think I'm afraid of medical. I've always had a fear of medical things. I've had some surgeries and some knee surgery from playing sports, but that, and I would say that if you've seen the bathroom scene, they're you go to those fucking weird ass rest stops, and you're just taking a dump or pissing, and you see that shit on the wall, and that's how I wrote the scene. Just like, I'm like, you go to some creeper bathroom in the middle of fucking nowhere, and in the scene, the guy looks at the sidewall, and he first looks at the toilet paper, and there's blood on the toilet, and he's like, and he looks to the left, and it says, for a good time, call 1-8 or text 1-800-Pedro. And he's like, fuck it, for a good time, I'll text it. And the picture he gets back is his feet. Somebody took a picture of him, from outside the stall. And it's just, I'm just like, anytime I'm out in a bathroom, I'm just like, what am I going to read? Who's going to try to kill me? It's all in my head. I don't know.
So this is funny. I have 3 young kids, and like, they love to do I call it the bathroom tour. So whenever we go somewhere, they're like, I got to pee. I'm like, no, you don't. And they insist on going to see, and they won't shut up about it until I show them the bath. So I have to go to all of those places now, and I have to take my kids in. There's other dudes and things doing their thing, and they're like, I don't want to be in here with you right now. Like, why
man,
you do this places.
Yeah, that's a kid thing though with the bathroom. You're absolutely like, so my son, he plays soccer, and every time he has a game, he has to use the outhouse, because and like, I'm like, go to the bathroom before we leave, because I don't want you going in there. And every time, and tonight he comes back from the game, and he's like, hey daddy, the outhouse smelled fresh tonight. And I'm like, you're freaking weird, man. Like
they love it. It's like everywhere we go, like they could have pissed at the house 12 minutes ago, and now they're like, I gotta go again. I'm like, the bathrooms are not that interesting. Trust me, it's all the same. But it's funny you brought that up too, because like I've even shared this with John. I've had like 2 or 3 nights over the past like month where I've had dreams of going into a public bathroom, and their fucking trash is like diarrhea shit like blown all over the thing, and like I'm just like, oh well, I guess I'll wash up after. Like, and maybe that's from being on tour with the band too, man. You just at some point you just settle. You're like, oh, all right.
It's like, right, like you look down, if you really saw blood on the toilet paper, in your mind you're like, I just would leave the bathroom. But it's like, sometimes you can't help it. You got to do what you got to do. So that scene was pretty cool.
Yeah, I had that joke that I'm pretty sure I'm immortal at this point because I've taken a shit at the Middle East and Cambridge down.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, so I might be immortal, like, you know, at this point. So, or falling on the
remember
floor with a rat, dude. That was another one, the Raskeller down in Boston.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Here we are
Like,
on
you
the
don't
Livid
even-
Comics Lair talking about taking dumps in public. So
We're at that
this is
point
what
of
we
the
do.
evening. Oh, he brought up the bathroom. He brought it up.
Yeah,
That's
it's just a weird place, and I don't know. Like, we found like the greatest location for that place, and it was I think it was a haunted house actually.
Oh wow.
Added a lot of the drawings and like the funny words on the walls and all that, and just made it really shitty in there. But it was a lot of fun. I think the other scene I liked was well, working with Corey and Zach was pretty amazing because Zach, and this is funny if you like Gremlins, he had something about no Gremlins jokes, you know, in his contract. And so I was like, fuck that, we're throwing something at him. And I was like, he was a huge fan of Corey, so I was like, I went to Corey, I was like, yo, you got to drop a midnight joke on his ass, and we'll film it. And he basically walks up to him, he's like, I forget what he said, but it was something like, don't do what happened last time, you know, eat after midnight. We know what happened last time. And he's, you know, Zach's response is like, okay, boomer, and caught him off guard. And that was like a real response.
That's
like,
awesome.
And it stayed in the film because I was like, we got him. But
Yeah.
I guess everybody asks about Gremlins when they're with Zach, and
Oh, I'm sure.
it gets annoying after a while. And I'm just like, we got to have it.
Yeah.
Aren't they doing a reboot or something? I thought I heard they're planning on, or like a prequel or something. Or
Not a reboot, yeah, like a delayed sequel almost. I
Yeah.
think is what I read, which could be cool. I mean, hopefully it's not. I mean, what makes the magic of that movie is the puppets, right? Like it's going to be CGI probably. Like I hope not, but although if they get like Planet of the Apes CGI, like that shit's incredible.
Yeah, that stuff would be freaky.
Yeah, but yeah. So like seriously, like Gremlins is, you know, literally it's got to be one of my all times. Like there's a scene in our comic book Yule that has a shop scene where the kid finds this device that helps him travel through time and dimensions. And when I was writing that part, all I pictured was the shop in Gremlins. Joel. So Joel had a different vision when he drew it. He had the Friday the 13th TV series shop in his head. So it's kind of cool. It kind of meshed the two together a bit there. But when I wrote that, like that was 100%. I was thinking of like a Christmas horror theme, and I'm like, I gotta have something that like is like a nod to Gremlins in this. So yeah, I love it. But
it's fun. And there's a clown in there that's like this evil. Well, he's like actually a good clown, but he kills bad people and protects this young girl who's like a witch, you know. And it's a lot of people were comparing that to like Trick or Treat, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I'll take any comparisons to Trick or Treat. That's like a $15 million film. We have their lunch budget, you know. So, and I love Sam, and I could see people because the clown's name is Bad Candy. He's the name of the title.
Yeah,
clown. So he's basically the girl. Anything she draws, and obviously comic books. My background, I was like, you got to make her. She draws anything that comes alive, you know. And I just thought that was kind of fun for her power. And that's how she protects herself from her bad dad, and she makes a few little monsters, and it's gonna be kind of fun because we bring her back in the sequel too.
Oh, awesome!
So,
and it's kind of cool. Like you picture, like if you were the dad in that, right? Like obviously the guy's a dirtbag, but like at the same time, like if your kid was able to do that, like you'd be scared shitless. Like he was like you could see that like anger, but also at the same time fear, right? Like he feared what she could do. Yeah. So that was cool.
It's like, what is that? Amazing Stories where the kid, anything he thinks about, and he terrifies his parents and like his grandfather.
They're in that like fucked up house, and he takes his sister's mouth away.
It takes her mouth away.
Was that Twilight Zone? Was that
Twilight Zone?
Yeah, I think it was.
That fucked me up when he takes her mouth away and he makes that giant bunny rabbit.
The rabbit was gnarly, dude. For like that era, was that like late 80s? Like that special effect? Yeah, that thing was freaky
so creepy.
As hell. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good series. That whole thing. Twilight Zone the movie, right? That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Dude, the whole John Lithgow scene on the plane.
Yeah. Originally it's William Shatner, right? There's the original one. Yeah.
Back in the day, and he's like, "There's something on the wing," and nobody believes him, and he's like trying to punch a hole, and he grabs the security guard's gun and shoots a hole, and everybody's freaking out on him, and they just think he's crazy, and then the plane lands, and they find all these wing marks and claw scratches. Just so done so well. It was that always freaked me out, like watching that one.
That's solid. It holds up too, man. Over time, like that holds up. Like some films, they kind of look like shit after a while. You go back 30 years later. That one actually, I don't know if you've seen that, John, but you should make it a point.
No, I'm hearing you guys I've never seen that, which shocks me. I've seen pretty much anything horror related, but yeah.
Yeah, it's Twilight Zone the movie. I told people too. I'm like, I met people who have never seen Aliens, and I'm like, dude, watch Aliens. If that shit came out today,
oh man,
you make $1 billion. Like,
yeah,
that movie is like legit now, and you just can't do.
You want to talk about nightmare fuel? Like I saw Aliens at the drive-in when I was like, I don't know, I don't even know what my age was when that came out. I must have been so young, but it was a double feature of Wayne's World and Aliens, or it might have been Wayne's World 2. I'd have to look at the like what came out, but it was a Wayne's World movie and Aliens, and I had freaking nightmares from that. Like I was such a little kid, but obviously I fell in love with horror, so it probably was a big part of that. But yeah, that movie still holds up. Like it's incredible. But
it's a crazy film. I love that film.
I still like the new ones. I like Prometheus. A lot of people did not like that, but I knew the legend of Prometheus going into it. So it's like, oh shit, like he's killed by fire, like all of these things that and there was like a subtle religious undertone. Yeah. And if you weren't thinking of it that way, just going in as like novice, lack of a better word, but whatever, somebody that didn't understand mythology and things like that, you wouldn't pick up on that. So it was I had a deeper relationship, I think, with that film than some people would have had because I knew about that stuff.
I think that was the part of the issue people had with it, was that it was just, it was beautiful. The movie was beautiful looking, but I think it was slower paced than a lot of people wanted it to be for an Aliens movie, right?
Aliens,
Covenant, I thought was freaking great.
It was good too. Yeah, it was solid.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing will top. I still I know Aliens the OG, but Aliens the sequel, like that still just tops it for me.
Did you see Raised by Wolves on HBO?
I have not.
No, I haven't.
It's the craziest show I've seen since Squid Game, probably, but it's Ridley Scott. Yeah, and it's just like another planet, and it's like these people trying to repopulate this planet, and it's just they have this android, and man, it's on HBO Max, called Raised by Wolves.
I saw it when I was scrolling through. I'll check that out for sure. October's pretty much dedicated to horror stuff, so
horror, science fiction. It's all Ridley Scott, and it's fucking amazing.
I'll check that out. Yeah,
good show.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's so much stuff out there right now. So much stuff. It's hard to get them all in.
No, like we said earlier, all the streaming services, man. And then it's like a show that I'm excited about, and it's like, shit, that's the one streaming service I don't have. So I gotta do the free trial now, and then I keep it, and then I'm scrolling through the menu on my TV, and it's like I have everything, and I don't even use half this anymore. Yeah. But it is what it is. But I was gonna ask you. So obviously we talked at the beginning of the show. Sequential art was huge on you. Comics were obviously a huge part of your life. Have you done any comics, or do you think you might someday do that?
I haven't. No, not since college. I still draw. I still draw a lot. I do some death art. I don't know what to call it, but it's like weird monsters, and I do a lot of pastels too. I'm into koi and catfish. I have a pond in the backyard. So
nice. I want one of those too.
It's just kind of relaxing. I would definitely say what I do is pretty stressful at sometimes. So I have 100 koi in the back.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And some big ass catfish and a couple bass, and you tend to paint them, just to kind of, the one thing I love about drawing is it just does something to my mind, just relaxes me. You got to turn the phone off, and you just like, when you're done, it's like your mind got an exercise, you know? And
Yeah.
it's just like revitalizes you. And it's hard to explain if you don't draw, you know? It's just a great feeling. And it's a good way to get away from social media and just stresses and all that. But yeah, I definitely still draw. I definitely draw still. I just, when I have time, you know, now it's crazier and more movies are coming. And but when I do find the time, I definitely take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, that, you know, I guess that's true, right? Like, I mean, we're doing comics. Like, if we got to the point where we were doing movies, we'd probably be like, you know, let's face it, comics, they're amazing, but they're not, you know, going to make too many people rich, you know, make much money. It's a passion thing, right? You know, we do it as a passion. So, you know, I'm sure you're making movies and you're so busy with that, you know, Joel can attest to this because he draws the comic. I write it, but it's a time consuming, you know,
Very
beast. So
yeah, it's very time consuming. And I remember definitely. And I just I feel like directing is like professional babysitting with drawing, you know. And it's just like, mainly I'm dealing with people's bullshit, and you know, and then we can finally start filming stuff. But it's like, you know, a lot of drama you have to deal with when you direct stuff. But I mean, it's fun when you have control over everything. It's fun when you can pick out what this person's wearing, the colors, and then build the sets or pick the locations. That's definitely the fun part. And it kind of feels like drawing, like painting with, you know, pictures or whatever and visuals. But it's a very similar process for sure. Yeah, I still love to draw. I think you have to keep it going. You know, you can't just stop. And my whole family are artists. You know, my grandma, she still paints, and she's like in her 90s. You know,
nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
I hope I am in my 90s.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, damn, girl, she's made it that far, and she's still fucking do watercolor and all kinds of stuff, and fucking oil paints, which I always sucked at oil painting. I just very hard.
I suck at painting in general. Like, you give me a pencil, I'm good to go. But
pencil, pastels, I'm good. Acrylic and oil, fuck.
I went full spectrum. I was like, you know, sequential illustration guy. Didn't do anything for like a decade. Nothing. Ran a business like most 20-year-olds trying to chase money and not art. And then got into oil painting. Did that for like another 10 years. And now that world's slowed down because of the whole COVID thing with the gallery scene. It's a different universe out there with that. So I said, hell with it. I'll go back to sequential. So now I'm back into comics. So I've come like through this journey. Yeah, but I think a lot of what kind of helped in the painting world was the coloring of the books, right? So you can get understanding of value and tone, things like that. And I've actually had a lot of good time really just doing a lot of coloring work right now. I'm doing coloring on one of our new books, Deadball. I didn't draw it, but I'm doing the color work. And
nice.
I always thought it felt like, you know, maybe if you were a colorist, you always desired to be the pencil, or right. And it was like, well, now I don't, because I could see its own art in the coloring also going through that experience. It's like, that has its own signature and style and things you can do with it too, which is kind of cool.
What program do you use to do the coloring?
I'm using Clip Studio Paint. Nice. I tried to use Photoshop. I like Photoshop on my desktop. It works great, but I'll tell you what, man, it is absolutely dog shit on mobile. Like, I use a lot of iPad Pro. And
iPad Pro is awesome.
Yeah. With the pencil and everything. I got the Apple Pencil. You know, it's Clip Studio Paint. It's cloud-based, so it saves everything, and I can bounce back and forth between my desktop and my iPad like almost real time. That's awesome. Nice. And then it's getting to be cold as hell up here, so I like to just lay in bed and work on my iPad. So I get lazy and cold. Right? So it works out great, and I can go outside. And that's a good program. It's very similar to Photoshop. So if you're familiar with that, it's got all the same kind of bells. And I'm actually surprised. I don't know how Adobe doesn't sue them, because it's almost exactly the same program.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then there's another guy named Friendon. He makes a lot of digital brushes, and you can get like 800 brushes for like $6, and it's just a one-time thing. And some of them are so crazy you just would never use them. You know, it's like, what am I gonna do with this? But it's cool to have.
Never know.
Yeah, it's got some cool effects. Like he's got like the creepy brush, and it looks like splatter font things, and you can just rip with
That's
that
awesome.
stuff. And yeah, it's fun.
That's pretty cool. So like if you go across the screen, it's like blood splatter, blood splatter.
It just makes it look like splatter.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
These guys do some crazy stuff now. Makes it easy. You drop it in like clouds or snow or stars in the background. You just wash over it, and it's like stars. Like, okay, you don't sit there and each one. Yeah.
Yeah. I had it just popped in my head when you said that. So one of my favorite comic series is called Vinyl. Did I show that already on the show? No, I showed Basketball Ahead.
Last night.
Vinyl. So this series, we've had the writer on, and it's freaking
cool.
It's batshit crazy. It's about a serial killer that escapes a mental ward to rescue the cop that put him there, basically because a cult kidnaps the cop. So it's just this batshit crazy horror comedy story, and but the artist he does commissions. He draws like he calls them deadheads. So basically, their previous series, there was a serial killer that would decapitate his victims and put the heads in plastic bags. So he does. I gotta find it here. I don't know why it just popped in my head, but it's.
We're talking about digital art, I guess, maybe. Right?
Yes, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. But I'm not going to find it now, am I? Oh, here we go. I got to share this. All right. It's this guy's freaking here we go. It'll be worth the wait, I promise.
You're so suspenseful, John.
Yeah. Oh man, when he sent me this, I'm like, that's amazing. Yeah, I think my kid saw it though, and he's like, "What happened to your? Why is your eyeball getting stabbed out of your head?" But this is all digital. So, it was the blood spatter thing you talked about. That I remembered seeing it going across the screen there, but he did this all digital.
Yeah, he did do that with a brush. There's no brush that'll do it that rounded, sculpted.
So he definitely had that then. All right, I didn't realize that was a thing. So that's cool.
No, he drew the blood on there because you couldn't get that.
Gotcha.
It would be very linear, right? It would be that more of a
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're at the 90-minute mark. I want to obviously check in. It's been awesome show, but how is there anything else we talked about Bad Candy. You mentioned a couple projects coming up, the sequel eventually there. Anything else you want to talk about or promote?
No, just working on the sequel, and just trying to doing the vampire film next, which should be pretty fun. Just trying to expand a little bit, or I am trying to get Bruce Campbell for the sequel.
Oh my God, that would be so awesome.
So we're trying to get him. So I tried to get him on the first one, but his whole rate was like twice the budget for 3 days. So I kind of figured. So we're excited. It's a small film, It's really fun if you like Halloween. It's right up your alley, and if you like dark comedy, especially. But we hope to be doing more. So. But we got more coming up, so this is just a start, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a title yet for the vampire 90s rock
Yeah,
movie?
it's the name of the band, so it's called the Virginia Bitches.
Okay.
That's their name.
Yeah, I think you mentioned. I just want to make sure I got that. So it's
Be on the lookout for it, right? Yeah.
I got a few music videos. I got 2 videos for a band from Sweden called Meshuggah.
Yes, I know them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're pretty big. But I got a few videos coming up, some fun stuff, but I don't do many music videos anymore. They're starting to pander down a little bit, and trying to movies full time. That's the goal. One day.
Yeah, comics full time. That's the goal, right?
Yeah. You gotta have your hustles, man, and just keep chasing the dreams.
Yeah.
Just entertainment content in general, right? Because I wouldn't want to limit myself just to comics. We do this show. We could put together films. I don't care. Just fun,
Yeah.
cool things for people to enjoy. You know, hopefully
Oh
somebody
yeah.
likes
Oh
it.
man, the dream, like someday, right? If like your comic series gets made into something like on Netflix or some shit, right? Like that's just like,
Exactly. Yeah.
you never know. So
We might be
It's
working with you,
Marvel-
Scott, to put our story together. So.
Hey man, yeah, Marvel is getting oversaturated, and
It's true.
you
Sure.
know, it's DC is just all over the damn place. You know, I don't know who knows what's going on over there, but they got some good stuff and some. I don't know what they're doing, but
they're a mess. Yeah,
Indies
mean,
it, man. Indies where it's at, right? 'Cause you
Yeah.
can get away with so much stuff, right? And we're still approachable. If you went to Marvel and you're like, hey man, I want to make a Wolverine movie, they're gonna, Disney's gonna be like, yo, give us 30 mil just for the rights.
yeah,
We're like, you give us 30 mil, man. We're like, we fall over.
yeah.
Like, give us like 30 grand. We'd be like, yeah, you can have the rights. Crazy.
Yeah, I've been waiting for people like to see more Image Comics movies or like
Oh,
right.
You know,
Yeah.
so much.
Well, Spawn's
great-
supposed to come. Spawn's supposed to come back out.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going on with that. I
Yeah.
saw that he casted Jamie Foxx, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
but
which is
I haven't
interesting. 'Cause I
heard
like
much.
Michael J. White there. I think
Yeah,
he
he
did
was great, too.
fantastic. He did
Yeah.
great in the first one. It was just shitty writing with shitty special effects. I mean,
Yeah,
he was fine as an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
see, I haven't watched that movie in years, but are the special effects really bad? I remember liking
They're
that
kinda
movie when
dog
I was
shit.
younger. I remember liking it.
nowadays they're a little
Pretty bad.
yeah.
the way the cape moves, they couldn't get it right back then. It's kind of
Yeah.
like hair with like animals and CGI, like
Right.
look right. Yeah,
Right.
there's just something about that. It's probably, if they did it now, they use that same script, same story, it'd probably look fine.
Yeah, it'd be
Back then, it
crazy.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't like John Leguizamo as a clown. Everybody loved him in that, but I didn't care for him. I don't know.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, it's just, maybe like a Danny
Huh.
DeVito, but maybe I'm old. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it would work anymore, but at this point, but you never
Yeah, he's
know.
like 95 years old.
Hey man, they're making a twins. They're making a twins sequel, so it's
I saw that. That was okay.
random.
Yeah.
But hey,
Random,
Tracy Morgan's like the adopted brother or something, like his triplets or something. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
weird.
we'll see. They'll remake it, or they'll make a sequel to anything that was big now because it's just how it is, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I was gonna say, man, like I saw. The reason I reached out to you is I saw the trailer for Bad Candy,
Oh, hell
and
yeah.
I'm like, this looks freaking badass. And I reached out to you, and you agreed to come on. And obviously, I watched the movie, and
Thanks,
so
man.
yeah, I mean, the thing with us, like we really do try to do our homework with our guests. Like we try to watch the movies or read the books they write or whatever. And you know, we're fans. I know we're two people, but you got a couple more fans moving forward, right? So
I'm on your site right now, man. I'm checking out. Yeah.
nice.
Nice.
Yeah. We're young. Man. We're less than a year old. We only got 2 books, and the second book's not even out yet. So,
That's awesome.
but yeah, but eventually we got a lot in the pipeline. So
I get a bigger
hopefully.
budget. I might need some Bad Candy comics.
There you go.
Talk about that. So,
Some blood comics, some crazy
there you
shit.
go, man. I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to do some posters. I'm a big Drew Struzan fan, so.
Oh, I love him. Yeah, he's awesome.
There
The
you
way
go.
he does it,
Yeah.
he's cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well,
Well, we definitely- Yeah, we definitely appreciate you coming out tonight, Scott. So thank you, man. I've actually had a lot of fun on the show. I like people that know bands and music, so I get a good time with that. So it's been
Yeah,
awesome.
I
We're able to-
appreciate it. It was awesome
Yeah.
meeting you guys. And fuck, next
Yeah.
time I'm in Boston, I'll definitely hit you up.
Yeah, the beer's on
Absolutely.
us, buddy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get together. You come up, hang out in my graveyard, shoot some scenes.
Yeah, I want to see his graveyard now.
Drink some beers in the graveyard to be fine. So
Yeah,
it's all
I live
good.
right next to a graveyard that was in Vampire Diaries.
Oh wow.
Oh, nice.
So it's right here. It's like a block away. But
That's awesome.
yeah, it's a cool.
Yeah.
We walk through there and it's fun and just kind of creepy. It's actually in the first scene of the trailer. The little girl on the bike going through. We just changed the name to say New Salem.
Yeah.
So it's the same graveyard right over here. But,
Oh, that's
Oh
cool.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, we're all Braves fans this week, right? Because we
Yeah.
have Houston win, so go Braves. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah. So all that. I'm more of a football fan, I'll be honest, but I do watch baseball.
Yeah.
I like-
So are you a Falcons guy or
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan, unfortunately.
oh
That's
man.
hard. That's gonna be hard.
So
So
I
bad.
don't want you to, you know, we've had a good time tonight, and you know, so I don't want to say this, but I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, but
Oh no!
in New England, so I get a ton of shit, but
Damn.
yeah,
You're just trying to get picked off.
Man, I grew up in the '90s, and that was the Aikman Emmett years,
Yeah.
and like I the first game I ever watched was one of the Super Bowls against the Bills, and like I remember as a young kid being like, oh, I like the team with the star on their helmet, and I just stuck with them.
Yeah.
And
They might
obviously
they're really good this year.
They
It's a
are
good
good.
year. You never know. But then you got Mr. fucking Brady, who's like 49 years old, wants to take home another one. Who knows?
You want to throw up? Come to New England and listen to Pats fans drool over Brady in Tampa. Still, it's like the girl that got away, right? And you're like, man, she was mine once, and they're still rooting for her, you know. But yeah, no, he's still freaking amazing. So, but.
Yeah, you definitely have to hit us up when you come up, and when those sequels are coming out in the other films, let us know, man. We'll have you back on, and we'll be happy to push those things, and we'll be spreading the word, because I was very impressed with your work. So I didn't. John was banging the table about you, and he's like, check this guy out. I'm like, all right, fine. So, right, and I was like, no shit, this is actually really good. So so great job, man. Keep up the work. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save your info, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm gonna look you guys up and
sweet.
All that stuff, and we'll just keep up to date, man. I'll let you know the next time I'm up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
It'd be great.
Fuck
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I hope you have a good night. We're going to be back tomorrow night. We have paranormal investigator Jack Kenna on, so we'll be talking ghost stories. Yeah,
that'll be a fun
time.
That's cool.
He's done some different things. He's actually a comic book out called Spirits too, about one of his investigations. So it's kind of a nice cross genre and worked out well. So we'll have him on for Halloween show. So that'd be a good time. I like to talk ghosts and ghost stories and.
Where will you post this? Where would this be on Facebook?
This is on everywhere.
It's all over the place.
Over?
So like when you look at the views, like if it looks like little, it's like, man, this is literally like it's on Twitch, it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. So like it depends on the guest. It's weird. Like sometimes YouTube gets like a couple hundred views. Sometimes our Facebook groups get them. Sometimes like Twitter. So it really depends. But we're all. We follow you on Twitter with the Livid.
I just found you. Oh, here we are. We're on Facebook. I see.
Yeah, you seeing your own face? Yeah.
It's like a delay. There's a little delay. You can see the subtitles.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they're making sure all the algorithms can scrub any questionable shit out of the show.
That's awesome.
Limit our views if we talk about something they don't support.
I just shared it. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Nice, thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Cool. Well, again, appreciate your time tonight, Scott. And we'll definitely look forward to maybe reconnecting with you, get you on the show again, and we can chat further. So,
Well, you guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man, you bet. So, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope you have a good evening, and I hope everyone out there continues to stay livid.
Peace.